When a good doctor understands all your symptoms along with your medical history, pieces it together, your life can change. I had such an experience when I was told my UTIs were not UTIs. They were in fact a sign that I had painful bladder syndrome. And here's everything about it. In the last 25 years, I have met more good doctors than bad ones. That's also because I have made a conscious decision to not stick around with the bad ones. If they don't trust me and are dismissive, then I know I need to keep searching. Why am I sharing this? Well, here's why. Actually, before I begin, please remember that I am not a medical professional. I am a patient and I use this space to share my experiences. Everything I speak of is purely informative and in no way am I providing medical advice. So please consult a medical professional for your needs. Now here's my UTI story. Well, no, my painful bladder syndrome story. So it's April 2019. I was going through the worst pain, burning and itching sensations all around my vaginal area. Peeing hurt my abdomen. The doctors, including my most understanding and trusted gynecologist, said to me that as usual, I just have a UTI, something that's happened to me many times before. According to the Mayo Clinic, and I'm going to quote them, a urinary tract infection, UTI, is an infection in any part of your urinary system, your kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra. Most infections involve the lower urinary tract, the bladder, and the urethra. Women are at a greater risk of developing a UTI than men. Infection limited to your bladder can be painful and annoying. The problem with me was this UTI wasn't going away with the usual medication and ointments. I got some temporary relief by pouring a mixture of very warm water with baking soda. There was a crazy initial burn from this, but that and the tears were all worth it, giving me enough temporary relief so that I could get some sleep. But I couldn't do this every day. Once or maximum twice a week was all I was allowed. I revisited my diet, tried to change things up after reading and speaking to my nutritionist that mint tea can make things worse along with spicy food, caffeine, and other citrus fruits. But even then, nothing changed for me. I was still cringing and crying in pain every single minute for 6 months. 6 months. I had applied the strongest ointments available and I was struggling. I felt I was in hell. Well, if hell was a feeling, I was experiencing it. It was now September 2019. I was in New York. I had traveled from Mumbai to New York for my endometriosis excision surgery. If you wish to know more about how I prepared for that surgery and more about it all, I will link it to this video and in the description box as well. So now, during my pre-surgery testing, apparently a UTI showed up. Post-surgery, I was prescribed an antibiotic for it as well, which I took. And along with the surgery pains, having had a small rupture of the bladder during surgery, which was repaired, and having a Foley catheter bag to pee in for 5 days, I was going through a different level of discomfort. But it seemed like things were calming down. I thought maybe it was the endometriosis that was causing all this and I was freer from it now. But can life be that simple? I was back in Mumbai from my surgery and the UTI woke up again. I'm not blaming Mumbai, but that's what happened. Now I was determined that no matter how sore I am from my post-surgery recovery, I will go see a specialist, a urologist. But before meeting the urologist, I got my urine test done, which showed I had a UTI. So armed with this report and all my surgery notes, I went to meet this new doctor in the hope he'll prescribe a magical medicine and I'll be out of his office in no time. Again, it wasn't going to be all so simple. He heard me out and went through my reports in detail and then said, I'm paraphrasing, I strongly believe you do not have a UTI. You have painful bladder syndrome. I said to him, what? But my reports say I do. Please, doctor, don't add any more conditions to my list. I'm already managing too many. Doctor replied, well, with everything you have described and that you have endometriosis along with other conditions, this doesn't sound like a UTI. So you'll have to redo this urine test, but do it properly because there is a way to do a urine test so that you do not get a false positive. And you will also get an ultrasound done of your bladder. I was like, another urine test and an ultrasound? Please, doctor, just prescribe me the medicine for now. I'm dying. I actually probably was more dramatic than this when I spoke to him. But the doctor says, I can prescribe it, but it'll be temporary solution and then you'll have to come back here again. And he had a point and I agreed. So what is the right way for women to give a urine sample? According to my urologist, women should wash their genital area, dry it, part their labia, and then midstream collect the urine sample in a container, of course. This way we make sure there's no external contamination even from the washing detergent on your underwear. Also, the ultrasound was done to determine how much liquid my bladder can hold and whether I'm able to empty my bladder completely. So my ultrasound was great. Despite the fact that I do feel a lot of pain in the bladder region before and during peeing, so that was a plus. Now, for the drum roll moment, my urine report. It showed no infection, no UTI, but I was still crying in pain. My doctor was right. He put me on one medication for PBS, painful bladder syndrome. And now, 10 months on, I haven't had one moment where it feels like hell again. This all happened because my doctor was a good one. He listened and didn't take the easy and the more profitable route of prescribing me a medicine that wouldn't work for me in the long run and would see me coming back to him all too often. So, what is painful bladder syndrome, also known as interstitial cystitis, IC? Well, I thought I would share all the details about this, but I'll keep it simple and quote the Urology Care Foundation because this information is easy to find. But it's the discoveries I had after this diagnosis that I want to share more about. But here's the quote first. Interstitial cystitis, IC, bladder pain syndrome, BPS, is a chronic bladder health issue. It's a feeling of pain and pressure in the bladder area. Along with this pain are lower urinary tract symptoms which have lasted more than 6 weeks without having an infection or other clear causes. Unquote. Next question. Why do I have painful bladder syndrome? My doctor and I discussed on why I had PBS and why it went undetected all these years. Well, I know why it went undetected because as usual, some doctors weren't willing to look beyond the obvious and bring together all my symptoms. As for why I had it, I did some research and I stumbled upon an article, Clinical Manifestations of Mast Cell Activation Syndrome by Organ Systems. It's an absolutely brilliant, eye-opening resource. It answered so many questions that were left hanging for me. This one article answered why I have itchy eyes, congestion in the sinuses, respiration issues, also because of POTS, palpitations, again, could be also because of POTS, acid reflux. And I should quote them. And I quote, unusual frequency of urination, difficulty initiating urination, inability to fully empty the bladder, and painful urination, as if a urinary tract infection is present except that testing can't find a clear evidence of infection. Endometriosis seems somewhat common too, excessive menstrual bleeding, weak bones, unquote. And there's a list of other related stuff related to me. This one article got me excited and I asked my urologist if I had mast cell activation syndrome, MCAS. because it linked with painful bladder syndrome and many of the other issues I was dealing with. Yes, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome did overlap with my endometriosis and weak bone issues, but like I said, MCAS answered the remaining unanswered ones. He wasn't too sure of this, and now began the journey of understanding if I had mast cell activation syndrome. I went to see my rheumatologist, who is also my primary and my most favorite doctor in treating my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and POTS. I told her my whole UTI, PBS, MCAS story. Gosh, that's a lot of abbreviations, right? But on the face of it, she seemed to agree with the MCAS possibility and took my medical file, prescribed me medicines for MCAS, and asked me to see her after a week so that she could go through everything and get more opinions. Now, a week later, with the PBS and MCAS medicines having improved my existence, my rheumatologist told me that everything pointed to mast cell activation syndrome. After this diagnosis in February 2020, March 2020 brought with it COVID-19 lockdown. So I haven't been able to go for a follow-up, but so far the combination of antihistamines and PBS medicines came at the right time and has really helped me live better. It allows me to focus on my EDS, POTS, fibromyalgia, and my endometriosis excision surgery recovery. Currently, I'm learning all I can from various articles and other people's personal experiences. And very importantly, my inclination to creating an ever-improving diet has led me to learn that a low histamine diet is helpful for those with MCAS. I get some amazing recipes from Claire, who follows a low histamine diet herself, while creating some really simple and flavorful options. I'll link her low histamine blog recipes in the description box. Before I end, I just want to say that the reason to point this all out is to share my journey with MCAS and also explain how an unresolving UTI may not be a UTI. Sometimes we need to dig deeper. The answers are all there. Sometimes we need to push and be present with various doctors. Not present, persistent with various doctors. If you have any of the conditions I've spoken about, or if you wish to share your thoughts on this topic, then the comment section is all yours. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you found it helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.